p.m. That's to get into the convention. But for voting, you're allowed to go in, right? It's so it's voter ID.
We're not going to watch this right now.
They call proof of citizenship.
But
And it's mail-in voting.
I suspect this could be the day. God damn, how desperate is Mike Lawler? Holy shit, he is so scared. Mike Lawler is begging Donald Trump to come and do a rally. Clarify the day that he mentions your boy. Stop vague posting. Who's Mike Lawler running against? A bunch of fucking centrist Democrats and also Effie Phillips Staley. Donald Trump has already attacked Effie Phillips Staley by name, even though she was in third place. Effie was in third place in the last polls that came out in this race. This is like a small ass race. This is a purple district that is very flippable. Okay. Donald Trump is aggressively trying to not only push for Mike Lawler to win his reelection, his upcoming reelection, but he's also attacking Effie Phillips Staley. Trump is obviously aware of you, but doesn't want to give you the aura. I mean, it'd be an interesting moment.
World they call it, and we don't want open borders. We don't want sanctuary cities where you have sanctuary for criminals.
Anyway.
Steadfast through my deployment to East Africa on a joint special operations mission, multiple political campaigns, and now my service in this role. His strength and love have sustained me through every challenge. I cannot in good conscience ask him to face this fight alone while I continue in this demanding and time-consuming position. The letter continues here. Quote, while we've made significant progress at the ODNI, advancing unprecedented transparency and restoring integrity to the intelligence community, I recognize there is still important work to be done. I am fully committed to ensuring a smooth and thorough transition over the coming weeks so that you and your team experience no disruption in leadership or momentum. Thank you for your understanding during this deeply personal and difficult time for our family. I will remain forever grateful to you and to the American people for the profound honor of serving our nation as DNI. With love and aloha, Tulsi Gabbard.
Meanwhile, President Trump is keeping his military options open as the United States attempts to work out a peace agreement with Iran.
But the administration says a deal isn't possible if Tehran pursues its plan to charge shipping tolls in the Strait.
Yeah. Deal's not possible as long as Israel doesn't want it. Let's be real. Okay? Anyone and everyone that looks at the situation and goes, "Oh, their terms of conditions, their terms are, not something we can get on with, not something we can agree to." It's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. Anyone who tries to make it seem like Iran is being unreasonable here, and that's the reason why America can't come to terms with Iran, is also doing propaganda. This comes down to one country and their ambitions. And it is not the United States of America. It is Israel. Okay? Yeah. If Israel doesn't want it, it's a TOS violation. That's precisely what it is. I'm not going to speculate as to why this is the case. I'm just reacting to what I'm seeing. Okay? What is this? Andrew Day, I've generally been senior editor of the American Conservative magazine. I've generally been the we're going to attack Iran guy the past year whenever people are debating the possibility. Now a friend notes, Gabbard out, Trump not going to son's wedding, Trump canceling weekend golf trips suggests we are going to attack. This time I predict no attack and no deal. Can't get a comprehensive JCPOA style deal because of political constraints. Can't attack because of munitions constraints and Iran's intact retaliatory capabilities. Agree, ? Says Andrew Day. Interesting perspective. Odds and percentage from Policy Tensor is war is 10%, thin deal is 40%, thick deal is 50%. Where thin deal means Hormuz reopens and U.S. walks but no nuclear sanctions relief, thick deal means an agreement is reached on nuclear and sanctions. The U.S. would be stupid not to get a nuclear deal for that. The U.S. would be stupid not to get a nuclear deal, for that would mean a nuclear armed Iran in short order. Yeah, but the U.S. is stupid, or led by stupid people. I think I think these guys are wrong. I mean, we'll see. I mean, one of the other constraints that we're not factoring in here is the fact that Hajj is taking place right now. That is an important constraint because, you know, insanely important to Saudi Arabia's economy. It's insanely important symbolically for the entire Muslim world. There are Muslims engaging in the pilgrimage to Mecca right now in Saudi Arabia. From all around the world, people come in. It's obviously a big boon for the Saudi economy. It's a huge part of it. But also, you know, it's just, you're so white. I don't think Trump would trigger. I don't think Trump would trigger an attack while that's going on, but I don't know. I mean, it would show that they are servants of Israel 100% if they were to attack during Hajj. You know? The irony is that the greater the lobby's influence, the more powerful Iran will be in the near future. Mortez says this war was engineered by Israel but did not serve Israeli interests in an intelligent way. This seems to be because, with the exception of a small cadre of world-class Iran experts in the country who have seemingly been marginalized by the government, Israelis really do not know anything about Iran. Their view of Iran is that it basically is just Gaza, but larger, and thus can also be destroyed like Gaza as long as the U.S. is there to assist. I mean, I do agree that Israelis are totally oblivious to Iranian capabilities.
Of Hormuz.
Jeff Paul is live in Dubai with the latest. Good morning, Jeff.
Yeah, good morning.
Ramadan was literally happening when they attacked the first time. I don't think Trump boys know what Hajj is. Guys, Trump doesn't need to know what fucking Hajj is. Trump has direct access to MBS. MBS calls him up and says, hey, there's a very important religious thing happening in my country right now. Please don't fucking attack Iran in the process. Now, once again, Trump weighs that, and maybe he still listens to Israel because he is the number one servant of Benjamin Netanyahu. So who knows? I'm saying it's a wash. I'm just giving you what some of the factors that could lead to constraint, at least in the interim, might be. Okay? Trump doesn't care about the fucking Muslim world. Trump doesn't care about the religious symbolism of attacking during Hajj. Trump, on the other hand, is a businessman, and MBS has a lot of money. That's the only factor at play that Trump might take, Trump might take into consideration. There's a lot of money tied into his own family's businesses. A lot of Saudi money tied into virtually everything that this administration has done. Virtually everything that this administration and their, family members, their relatives have actually been involved in. Jared Kushner has gotten billions of dollars from Saudi Arabia. That allows MBS to have a little bit more clout and a little bit more motion in these sorts of talks. That's all I'm saying. I consider myself to be on the Republican spectrum, but I'm trying to learn more about the other side's views. Can you inform me on the left side, perchance, being as you tend to align with more of their views? Yes, just stick around and you'll very quickly develop an understanding of where we're coming from here. We're anti-war, okay? We're anti-empire, we're anti-war. That's somewhat of a conservative value. I mean, the American Conservative magazine and you know, the writers there align with, you know, someone like myself on this issue. I mean, I could even give you a Trumpian assessment of it. You know, I'm an isolationist. I'm America first, right? I want America to focus on fixing itself. I want the American government to work to build America out and to make it a competitive superpower against China. Here, that's the most like right-wing coded way that I can explain this to you. I don't think we should be intervening in the affairs of other countries all around the fucking world. It's not beneficial for us. It's beneficial for a bunch of woke BlackRock oriented CEOs that live in New York or Miami, and they're all woke and gay. And for that reason, we shouldn't care about, you know, what benefits them, what lines their pockets. We should care about the anti-woke, real Americans that live in the fucking countryside in rural areas, you know. We should be focusing on building hospitals out there instead of spending all of our money to make sure that these woke and gay CEOs whose sons and daughters all go to these elite institutions of higher learning, you know, they get to increase their profit margins year over year. I don't want that. I don't give a shit about that. LMFAO, you got to work on your elevator pitch? No, that's my elevator pitch. Yeah, I want to fix the potholes. I want high-speed rail. I want America to be a competitive superpower with an industrial base. And every dollar that we're spending right now waging war, waging war with Iran at the behest of Israel, a foreign country, also woke, by the way. Tel Aviv, gay pride parade, all that good stuff, that happens there. They have abortions too. You know? Israel is the most woke country of all time. And we are listening to the most woke country of all time. It's fucking bullshit. What happened to America first? What happened to no new wars? That's why I voted for Trump illegally 1 million times, dude.
Yeah, no peace deal just yet, but here in the Gulf, there's definitely a sliver of cautious optimism that they can get a deal done, and that's in part to the fact that there haven't been any sort of major escalations between the U.S. and Iran, and the fact that President Trump himself saying that talks are ongoing.
We're negotiating, and we'll see, but either we're going to get it one way or the other. We're going to either make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, or we're going to have to do something very drastic.
President Trump says he's giving the negotiation process more time, and Iran says it's currently reviewing the latest proposal. We also know Pakistan is intensifying its efforts to mediate a potential peace deal, with the possibility of its army chief heading to Tehran in the near future. But at the same time, Iran is seemingly sending a very provocative message to Washington with this new map. It shows large areas of control in the Strait of Hormuz that stretch to the shores of the United Arab Emirates and Oman. Iran is now reportedly in talks with Oman over working together to control the strait and charge tolls. Well, President Trump responding to that report this way.
Well, we're looking at it. We hear about it. They've negotiated. They've had a relationship with them before. And we'll see. We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, as you know, with our blockade. The blockade's been 100% effective. Nobody's been able to get through it. We want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international.
Just look at that beauty. Oh my God. I can't even pay attention to whatever the fuck Trump is saying. You know what I mean? I can't do it, man. It's fucked up.
Waterway. They're not charging tolls.
It's taken command over the entire room. It's so powerful, man.
Now, officials here in the UAE say that the U.S. has become central to every single Gulf country's calculation. In fact, an advisor for the president here in the UAE says that before the war, Iran's nuclear program was priority 2 or 3. Now it is their #1 priority, just sort of underscoring the close ties between the U.S. and the UAE. Back to you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're following it.
I've been amazed at President Trump's patience through this.
It's awesome. It's framed respecting the filmmaker rule of thirds too, naturally drawing your eye to it. It's pornographic cinema. Yeah. Oh, God. My president, he's so restrained. Restrained is a word I think of when I think of Donald Trump. It's great. Bouncing on it, doing tricks on it. Sexual style. Yeah, he's so measured. He's so restrained. He's so sober in his assessment of the situation.
Has clearly been trying to get this deal to happen. He's been restrained, and I think in a good way, saying, I want to make a deal, but it's got to be.
Hi, Mr. Tulsi Gabbard segment. Is there a way to rewind the stream? Of course. Subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, PBS, the People's Broadcasting Service, sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to rewind, or if you'd like to be able to send me links, for example, no guarantees I'll click on them, then all you need to do is subscribe. Your voluntary contributions in the form of a $6 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime that you can receive by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month, are the only way to contribute to the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and NBs, you can also get gifted a sub. You can also get gifted a sub if you are the lucky recipient, like Magnets. Thank you for the 10 community gifted subs. This way, you don't have to ask me questions about, hey, why didn't you cover the Tulsi Gabbard situation, for example. You can also go back and rewind and listen to me endlessly talk about the protruding belly button, the Audi belly button of the man, the myth, the legend. I will sub if you swear loyalty to the Philippines. It's easy. I already have. When have I not? I ride with the Swagapinos, chatter. You must be new here. Sir, click on my link. This has nothing to do with what you're covering. No, I'm not going to do that. The tummy titty Mpreg. All right, let's continue.
The right deal, and hopefully there's a lot of renewed optimism that this could happen. And I'm telling you, if we can get a deal, and maybe start to think about prices coming down and just this, looking ahead at the midterms, will be a good thing for the country. But it has to be the right deal.
It has to be the right deal. The president's not going to be pushed into a decision. If you listen to what's happening from the Iranians right now, it doesn't look good, like a deal is possible, considering some of the stuff that they've been putting out there. Just pure propaganda. That's pretty much how they always operated. But we'll see what happens.
And they're certainly playing a game of rope-a-dope in those negotiations. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how long President Trump's patience runs out.
Yeah.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Pakistan's army chief has arrived in Tehran for talks with senior officials, a signal that negotiations between the U.S. and Iran may be progressing. He's been the point man in mediation efforts to bring about a peace deal between the two sides. Field Marshal Hasan was welcomed by Iran's Minister for the Interior, Iskandar Momeni. Munir's latest visit follows a new round of high-level talks with Iranian officials in Pakistan on Thursday. Meanwhile, in breaking news just coming in, an Iranian official source has told Al Jazeera that a ceasefire on all fronts is the essential prerequisite for any future negotiations. They've told Al Jazeera that no final agreement has been reached yet, and efforts are underway to bridge the gap between Tehran and Washington. Well, let's head now to Tehran and speak to Al-Miqdad Al-Ruhaid. Al-Miqdad, we've just heard this latest breaking news about officials talking about...
Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir returning to Tehran suggests diplomatic progress. Pakistan, as the mediator, has a vested interest in this process succeeding. But the past year has shown how, despite diplomatic progress, U.S. and Israel are willing to attack and burn mediators. So we shall see.
No ceasefire unless it's on all fronts. But have we heard anything new from Iranian officials regarding the talks with Pakistan now that Pakistan's army chief has arrived in Tehran?
Well, actually, we do have heard from Iranian foreign ministry spokesman. He said, let me have a test from what he has said. He said that the visit by Pakistani army chief is a part of the continued diplomatic process. This does not necessarily mean we have reached a turning point or a decisive situation. We cannot say we have reached a stage where an agreement is closed. No. That is not the case. The focus of these talks is on ending the war on all fronts. At this stage, there are no plans to discuss nuclear-related issues. So, same impositions and same stance for the Iranian. He emphasized the same idea that right now they are phasing the negotiations into 3 or 2 phases, especially about at a time being they are speaking about ending the war on all fronts. And the visit by Pakistani mediators is a part of the ongoing process about exchanging the message between Iranian and Americans. So what we do have right now is that Iranian emphasizing the same idea about their stance about ending the war on all fronts with the guarantees that this war will not going to be resumed again.
All right, just stand by for us, Al-Mikdad. We're going to hear now from Al Jazeera's Hasan bin Javed, who's covered Pakistani mediation efforts extensively. Earlier, he explained how Pakistan's army chief is well placed to handle these diplomatic efforts.
This is the second visit by the Pakistani Field Marshal Asim Munir, who Donald Trump has described as his favorite field marshal. He's somebody who has got the backing of the Saudis, as there is a defense agreement under his leadership between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. He's got the confidence of Qatar from the region. He's got an open door in China, as well as those links to Iran, and he's got a direct line of communication with J.D. Vance. So he's somebody who is in a unique position to have open lines of communication with all of the parties who are required to build lasting peace in the region. Now, we can confirm that there has also been communications between the Pakistani Interior Minister, who's been in Tehran for the last 3 days, and his Saudi counterpart just today. There was a telephone call that was held between them. And many analysts who I've been speaking to and government officials say that his presence in Tehran is a positive indicator that there is some sort of deal or framework or agreement in the making. Now, we've been here before. There was a 14-point agreement that was floated. Then there was a flowchart of a memorandum of understanding. Then we're back to the 14 points, and there's some 9 points that people are discussing. But at the heart of it is still the nuclear issue, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran insists on getting its assets unfreezed and an end to the Israeli aggression in Lebanon and elsewhere. So it is all out in the open. According to various sources in Tehran, there's major differences that remain, but there is cautious optimism that while he is in town, there might be some breakthrough that both sides could agree to extend the ceasefire and agree on a framework which would propel them forward to reach a lasting peace deal.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Washington is cautiously optimistic about negotiations with Iran, but he adds that an alternative plan should be in place if Tehran insists on controlling the Strait of Hormuz.
We all would love to see an agreement with Iran in which the straits are open and they abandon their nuclear ambitions and so forth, their nuclear weapons ambitions. That's what we would all hope for, and that's what we're going to continue to work on, and that's what work is ongoing even as I speak to you now in that regard. But we also have to have a plan B, and plan B is, what if Iran refuses to open the straits? What if Iran decides we refuse to open the straits, we're going to own the straits, and we're going to charge tolls for it? Okay, at that point, something has to be done about it.
Al-Mikdad, so let me ask.
By the way, all of this stuff happened because you, by your own admission, leaned into Israel's goals here. Like, none of this stuff had to happen at all. I just want to point this out because I feel like we've lost the plot. It's been like 80 plus days at this point. So people might have forgotten what the inciting incident was. And that was America listening to Israel's demands and being servile to Israel's needs, its highest priority being the destruction of Iran, thought that they could engage in a very quick, in and out, rapid fire bombing campaign that would have decapitated the state and would have left Iran completely destabilized. All of those goals fell apart. And that's normal. It happens in war, right? All the best laid plans in war change the moment that the opposition starts firing back, the moment that the belligerents on the other side start firing back, right? So then they moved into plan B, which was, oh, if we just keep up the pressure and we keep this consistent bombing campaign, we can actually take out a lot of their strike capabilities and we'll be fine. Okay, it's been 83 days, 84 days. America achieved 0 of its military objectives. Iran maintained more leverage than they ever had before. They now control the Strait of Hormuz. They are collecting a toll in effort to gain some kind of restitution, some kind of financial compensation for all of the destruction and the death that took place. It's perfectly valid. It's perfectly reasonable. And any kind of serious diplomat would look at the situation and go, look, it's out of our hands. We can't militarily control Iran. It is an unambiguous defeat for the United States of America. But every day that goes on where Iran gets to maintain its leverage and gets to enforce its legitimate right by way of bilateral commitments with other countries around the world is a day where the bleeding continues for the United States of America as the hegemon, right? RIP Pax Americana. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. South Korea has been making some interesting. South Korea's been making some interesting moves as well. It's been one of those, far away countries that also obviously is a part of this global security scheme. South Korea has suddenly broken from a cautious Middle East policy the repeated denunciation of Israel, including President Lee Jae-myung calling Netanyahu a war criminal this week in reference to his ICC warrant for genocide in Gaza. These statements also correspond with an energy crisis stemming from the war on Iran and a decision by Seoul to appoint a special envoy to Tehran to begin re-engaging with it diplomatically. That's a huge bilateral relationship. South Korea is an American military base that is supposed to be a bulwark against communism in the Asia-Pacific theater, okay? It is. That's functionally a military base for America. And now that country that has operated as a major foothold in the Asia-Pacific theater is now deciding we are actually going to break away. We are actually going to break away from the United States of America a little bit. Or at the very least, we're going to break away from Israel, which is an extension of America in many respects, or maybe currently the real dominant power in the room, at least in the negotiations process and certainly in the Middle East and North African region when it comes to American foreign policy decisions. There are huge constellations of countries that depended on the Pax Americana maritime trade system for their economic well-being and were suddenly thrown overboard by the war. If they feel they are no longer benefiting from the system, there is much less incentive to indulge in pieties about Israel and other ideological topics that they entertain just because they were important to the American elites. Now remember, Korea, South Korea, has actually engaged in trade with Iran in the past. If you recall, when the Biden administration unfroze some assets to the tune of $6 billion, a lot of people on the Republican side were criticizing this decision. That was actually Iranian oil that was sold to South Korea, and South Korea had paid for that Iranian oil to the tune of $6 billion. And America froze those assets. America said, nope, flag on the play. You are not allowed to trade with the nation of Iran. You're not allowed to get Iranian oil and then give them money for this Iranian oil. So South Korea already has had, due to economic needs, some kind of relationship with Iran, and they're deciding to get back to it right now because there is no reason for them to maintain any sort of allegiance with the state of Israel because Israel is responsible, because they're smart enough to recognize that Israel is the reason why they're having an energy crisis right now. Israel is also the reason why America moved their THAAD interceptor missile systems to I believe, the United Arab Emirates. Okay? So in 2016, when South Korea took a gamble and got these THAAD missile systems and destroyed whatever relationship they could have with a major industrial superpower in their backyard, China, because this was very frustrating for China. What good did that do for them? What did they get out of this security commitment? They lost billions of dollars of economic activity as a direct consequence of putting THAAD missile systems in South Korea because China was like, what the fuck are you doing? Now those THAAD missile systems are gone. They took them out. And South Korea didn't want them to take those missile systems out. They paid for it. They even suffered economic damage as a consequence of taking those and putting those THAAD missile systems inside of South Korea. And the American government is like, nope, you have no say in this process. We're taking this back. We're shipping these THAAD missile systems to the United Arab Emirates and to Israel potentially. So if you're supposed to be a sovereign nation state, if you're the leader of a sovereign nation state and you're noticing that the American force projection capabilities are diminishing and you are watching American security partners get destroyed in the altar of Israeli ambition in this region, and you're also suffering directly with this unprecedented energy crisis born out of the military quagmire that America has found itself in, you're going to say, all right, well, we got to change some... We got to have a real attitude shift. We got to change our calculation here. It makes perfect sense.
Ask you about U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and what he said there. He said that there'll need to be a plan B if Iran insists on implementing a new tolling protocol for the Strait of Hormuz. Do we expect Tehran to respond to this?
Well, actually, there's two issues on what Marco Rubio has said. He said that there is a plan B, which is mean that there's a new escalation on the Strait of Hormuz. So this type of...
According to KJNOH, the South Korean government didn't even consent to the THAAD missiles. Their military did it without the consent of the government because of NDA order from America. I mean, I don't know the exact details, but that wouldn't be surprising to me at all. It's not like there aren't like we talk about it here in the West as though like everyone loves when America builds military bases and you know totally avoids whatever kind of sovereign ambition this nation state might have. But there are always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be protests against these sorts of decisions. You just don't hear about it. You don't hear about it because it directly cuts away at whatever kind of propaganda America is presenting as like the number one superpower in the world. American sovereignty and American hegemony. American sovereignty and American hegemony. America is absolute. American hegemony is absolute. You get a bunch of benefits as long as American hegemony remains. What happens when American hegemony falls apart? All of a sudden, all of these other allies, all these other regional partners, all these other, countries that are holdover states, puppet states, vassals for American imperialism, have to recalculate this decision, have to recalculate these security commitments, because no one, at the end of the day, wants to turn into a fucking missile sponge. No one wants to be on the receiving end of American decisions that were completely outside of their control. In the same way that, like, for example, Dubai was. No one wants the idea of Dubai to be destroyed. Or the idea of, rather, Seoul to be destroyed.
Language for Iranian is not acceptable. That what we learned from their previous instance. They are saying that their hands on the triggers in any kind of escalation when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, when it comes to another round of confrontation between both sides. And about tolls and the revenue and fees, they are saying that we are projecting, we are experiencing that we are providing a security service for vessels that must pass safely through that strategic waterway. And just hours ago announced that more than 30 vessels have passed freely with the new coordination through the Strait of Hormuz, new coordination with the IRGC Navy, definitely, and the authorities there. So what the response is that right now we are controlling that strategic waterway with the new mechanism and new reality on that corridor. So in type of threatening, they are not accepting that, and at the same time they are projecting their new mechanism on that strategic waterway.
All right, that's Al-Miqdad Al-Rahaid live for us with all the latest from Tehran. Thanks so much, Al-Miqdad.
Hundreds of activists who were on board a flotilla heading to Gaza have been deported from Israel. And they've been speaking about how they say they were treated after being detained.
KJ and No is a Korean journalist, by the way. He appears on Glenn D's and adjacent shows sometimes. Okay, nice. Oh, by the way, speaking of Xi Jinping and his rise, okay, the U.S. paused $14 billion weapon sales to Taiwan due to the Iran war. Remember, in this day and age, if you want to understand the Trump administration, if you want to understand how to enforce whatever kind of sovereignty decision you want to make, you have to be powerful, okay? Trump is not an ideologue. Trump is not even ideologically a fascist. He's just a self-invested, self-interested dipshit. And of course, fascism is the lane that he has found a lot of success in at the domestic level, right? An ideological NATO Atlanticist who wants to enforce American dominance would never make a decision like this. Trump did. And the reason for why he did is not because he personally loves Xi Jinping, even though there is a lot of reverence there. He does respect Xi Jinping. But the reason why he did that is because he understands, after trying to wage tariffs wars with China, okay, after trying to wage a war with China and then, eating shit post-Liberation Day, as I told you would happen, he now knows not to fuck with China. This is a move in restraint. This is a move to dramatically change the calculation between the United States of America and China. This is one of those instances where a lot of people will ask me like, is there anything that you agree with Donald Trump on? Or is there anything that you give credit to Donald Trump on? This is one of those things. Okay? Yes, Trump is not an ideological fascist. That requires reading, and he's fucking functionally illiterate. He's a fascist of convenience. It fills his needs. Is true. Okay? So what the new Navy chief said, this guy's also a real psycho. Navy Secretary Hung Cao is a real genuine psychopath, for the record. Another one of these like insane media guys that Trump loves and has brought into a position of prominence. Anyway, he basically said, look, we're pausing $14 billion of arms sales to Taiwan, which is obviously something that Xi Jinping wanted. It's a huge blow to the DPP. Okay? Hung Sao? Okay. I don't... Okay, maybe that's how you say it. I don't know. Anyway, listen. Hung Sao. This is a major ordeal. It's a major W for cooling the tensions in the Taiwanese Strait, for sure. Mainland China versus Republic of China conversations will take a very different shape if America openly says, yeah, we're not doing like maximalist defense contracts with Taiwan any longer. Okay. Sal confirmed at this Senate hearing days after President Donald Trump appeared non-committal about the sale following his meetings with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. A spokesperson of Taiwan's presidential office told reporters on Friday that they had not received any information about U.S. adjustments to the arms sale. Now, the American side, on the American side, they're trying to make this seem like it's a calculated tactical decision, not born out of like some sort of restraint or it's a calculated decision, not because like Trump had a meeting with Xi Jinping and he's like abiding by Xi Jinping's wishes here, but instead because of the Iran war and we need to expend our munitions against Iran. I think that is a bullshit reason. I think the real reason is because
we've been
here. Let's just watch the video real quick and then I'll get into it. I think the real reason is because he's offering concessions to Xi. He recognizes that he doesn't want to wage war with China, at least for the time being. He understands that Trump understands power. He understands the amount of power China has, and he understands that there's no utility out of fucking waging war with China or being a fucking China hawk.
Urged Taiwan to buy arms from us, and all of a sudden there's a pause.
I love that Mitch McConnell on his fucking deathbed is still like, but we should be waging war. Why don't we do it?
What are you hearing from the Taiwanese about the pause?
Chairman, I have not heard. I have not spoken to the Taiwanese. However, we have done some foreign military sales to them. And it's just right now we're doing a pause in order to make sure we have the munitions we need for Epic Fury, which we have plenty. But we're just making sure we have everything. But then the foreign military sales will continue when the administration deems necessary, sir.
Put another way, do you expect the sale to be approved at some point?
Yeah, Hung Sao is unsurprisingly a total crank, by the way. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's insane. Hung Sao once claimed that witches had taken over Monterey, California. He is a total kook. Failed Republican candidate who ran to represent Virginia in the House in 2022 and the Senate in 2024 and lost both times, has been named as the new acting Secretary of the Navy and the 10th person to hold that title across Trump's 5 years as president. Here he is warning about witchcraft.
Again, it's, we can't let it turn like this. There's a place in Monterey, California called Lovers Point.
Yeah.
The original name was Lovers of Christ Point, but now it's become, they took out the Christ, it's Lovers Point, and it's really, Monterey is a very dark place now.
Yeah.
A lot of witchcraft and
Right.
the Wiccan community has really taken over there. And we can't let that happen in Virginia. Virginia is...
Yeah. That's the type of guy this is, who's the Secretary of the Navy, okay?
Senator, that would be up to the Secretary of War and the Secretary of State, sir.
Yeah, well, that's what's really distressing.
Yeah. I love how the U.S. Secretary of Navy says they're pausing weapons sales to Taiwan to make sure they have munitions that they need for Epic Fury, which we have plenty. There's a lie here one way or another. Either they're pausing weapons sales to Taiwan unrelated to the Iran war, or there aren't plenty of munitions, or both. I think it's both. But I think the reason why they're doing this is not because they want to preserve their munitions. I do think that they're running out of munitions, however. But I think America is stupid enough and has enough fucking munitions overall. If they have the, they want to continue expending their munitions, they could, and then still sell weapons to Taiwan. The real reason why they're not doing it is because they are worried. They're worried about China. They don't want to piss off China. And they're also worried about how much munitions they have. You got to stop saying America is stupid. It's going to get clipped and posted all over social media. Oh no. Will I draw the ire of people once again? Because of a clip that's clipped out of context? That would be crazy. What do you want me to say? We are behaving in a stupid way. It's true. Axios, citing U.S. officials, Trump is frustrated with the Iran negotiations and is now raising the possibility of one final major military strike, after which he would unilaterally declare victory and end the war. They described the negotiations as agonizing, draft proposals going back and forth daily with little meaningful progress. Declaring victory and ending a war are two different things. One requires a press conference, the other requires Iran to agree. Does Trump have the leverage to pull this off? Oh, God, ChatGPT. Iran spokesperson pushed back directly on growing U.S. optimism, warning that the Pakistani army chief's visit to Tehran should not be read as a sign that a breakthrough is imminent. The full position stated publicly today, not close to a deal, differences too deep to resolve in weeks. The nuclear issue is not even on the table at this stage. Iran says that it has a right to peaceful nuclear energy as an NPT member, and that's that. Meanwhile, Qatar sent a separate delegation to Tehran today, and Pakistan's army chief made yet another trip, his third visit this week. Someone in this negotiation is performing for the cameras. Any question is who and why now? Okay. Wait, where were we? Yeah. So that is where we are at. U.S. pauses $14 billion weapon sales to Taiwan due to the Iran war. And that's their claim for it. But I do think the real reason for why they're doing this is because they are offering concessions to Xi Jinping because Trump respects power. This is one of the only areas where Donald Trump can sometimes edge out the average, like Anthony Blinken style NATO Atlanticist. Okay? Because an ideologue who believes in pure American domination would look at the situation and be like, fuck off. We're, of course, sending more weapons to Taiwan. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is a little bit more pragmatic. He doesn't give a shit about, Xi Jinping being a dictator or whatever the fuck the American Democratic Party-backed NATO Atlanticists would say and do. Okay? It's a much more cold, calculated, and violent way of looking at the world, where instead of trying to continue stress testing the capabilities that America has against a much more powerful enemy, he's more pragmatic when it comes to shit like this. Ironically enough, when it comes to Israel, though, he is a total fucking servant. Did you discuss what the DHS said about green card seekers? No, I did not. So in this circumstance, his transactional and pragmatic nature and his tendency to concede against his tendency to concede in the face of power is leading him to deal with China in a better way than I think Democrats have in the past.
Israeli authorities. Katrina Graham from Ireland.
Speaking of insane countries that behave in an increasingly more violent and belligerent manner, Israel intercepted yet another humanitarian aid flotilla. And this time they were even more ruthless than the past towards the activists. And they made a big show of it as well. Ben-Gvir did the classic Ben-Gvir thing and flexed how much they were torturing this international contingency of humanitarian activists.
Spoke to Sky News once she had arrived in Istanbul.
So we had been kidnapped in international waters. We were kept for about 2 days on what we're calling a prison boat that was set up especially for this purpose. There were 2 prison boats that were used. We know that on one of the prison boats, pretty much everybody that went through was brutalized as they were being brought into the main area of the prison boat. So there was huge levels of physical violence. Multiple people got shot. We've already had reports of at least 15 sexual assaults, at least 30 broken bones, concussions, broken clavicles, broken ribs. And the reality is that we know this is nothing compared to what Palestinian people face every single day.
We've asked the Israeli authorities for a response to these allegations. We're yet to hear back. Some activists were taken to hospital in Istanbul for treatment. Photos posted online showed bruises and injuries consistent with being hit by rubber bullets.
The flotilla included the sister of the president of Ireland also, and they haven't released her as far as I know. Yeah, I don't know if they released her yet or not, but yeah. Several flotilla participants were raped and multiple cases of sexual violence were reported among the 428 global Summit flotilla activists being detained by Israeli forces, according to steering committee member Tiago Avila, who welcomed the released activists upon release. They are increasing the intensity. They're increasing their violence. They're increasing the intensity of the violence. They're increasing the torture that they subject people to. It's left unrestrained. They're becoming even more belligerent.
Media reported that some had suffered from fractured ribs as well as injuries from...
And guess what? The rest of the world is allowing it to happen. Okay? The rest of the fucking world is totally on board with this. They're allowing it to happen. They're terrified of incurring the wrath of Israel, and not just Israel necessarily, but America, right? And Trump doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff. They're even with all of our anger, even with all of our frustrations, even with all the protests, even with all the demonstrations, it just genuinely doesn't fucking matter. So, of course, from Israel's perspective, this is a flex.
Electric shocks or tasers. And flotilla organizers have claimed to us that many people did have broken ribs.
I was immediately grabbed by 5 IDF or police officers, Israeli police officers. They put my head down and started beating me. One of them had gloves on with hardened plastic, and he started punching my face and swelled shut.
We have been beaten, every single one of us has been beaten with electric shocks. We have all over our body bruises. Many people have broken ribs. Many people cannot walk. And then after that, they went us to prison, and it was the most barbaric experience I have ever lived.
Katrina Graham was the woman seen in a video shouting at the far-right Israeli politician Itamar Ben-Gvir as he berated the activists while in Israeli detention. She then had her head shoved to the ground.
And when I saw Ben-Gvir passing us by when we were being processed at Ashdod Port, I did not want to stay silent in the face of everything that he has done that is absolutely horrific to the Palestinian people. So raised my voice and said, "Free Palestine." And immediately there was a very rough crackdown, and I was dragged away into isolation.
Ben-Gvir's actions have been widely condemned, including by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, by the governments of Britain, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and even the Trump administration, normally the most steadfast defenders of Israel.
There's a lot of statements coming out from Netanyahu and others acting as though Ben-Gvir is some kind of isolated incident. And the reality is he is a symptom. He is not the entire cancer here. He is a part of an entire system that has existed in this way for far too long.
Dude, for a second, I forgot we're watching Sky News. I mean, this has like very little views overall, but like, I literally for a second thought we were watching Drop Site. This means the environment is shifting a little bit. Okay, this is fucking Sky News. This is Sky News coverage. I mean, too little, too late is, an understandable position to take here, but it still shows that the environment is moving.